This is Rock Talk with Mitch LaFon. Mitch LaFon.
Welcome to another episode of Rock Talk with Mitch LaFon, and joining me on the phone, it is returning guest from the band Dirty Honey, singer Marc Labelle. Bonjour, Marc. How are you?
Bonjour. I'm doing good. Back in America, unfortunately, but fortunately doing some great gigs down here. So we're looking forward to it.
Yeah. So let's just get caught up on the tour, and then we'll talk about some of the success you're having. The last time we spoke, of course, was right after Heavy Montreal. You had come to Montreal for the first time as a band, because you had obviously been here as a kid and as a fan. What was it like coming back the second time with Alter Bridge and just having this second crack at the city?
Unfortunately, it was raining the whole day and hard too. So we had a pretty tough travel day in because we played Toronto the night before. But as the show sort of got closer, the rain started to hold up, and the buzz was definitely quite alive in that room at MTList, and we all talked about it. Skillet and Alter Bridge, and obviously Dirty Honey. We all talked about it after the show. What a great crowd it was, and I think either Montreal or Columbus right now are at the top of the ranks here for best crowd of the tour. So.
Yeah, well, there you go. So let's talk about this success you're having. When we spoke at Heavy Montreal back in July, the band's single "When I'm Gone" was doing well, and so on and so forth. But now you've earned the first #1 on Billboard's mainstream rock songs chart. Talk to me about that, because you're still an unsigned band. You still only have an EP, not even a full album. But talk to me about this sort of meteoric rise and the success behind it. Sort of what's made it so?
We got a great team around us, and from our manager to our radio promotion staff to our booking agent. I think everything's been kind of done in a way to help the band grow and grow quickly. So. It's been pretty crazy. It hasn't changed much on our end. Nothing drastic really for us has changed. It's just, a lot of people will say congratulations on #1, and that's very nice. And it's always great to see your name at the top of a list with a lot of great bands, obviously getting radio play. But not much has changed for us, and I think we'll see a little more of a difference in, our headlining shows and stuff like that. Once we get into that later in November, I think people will have a more familiar, a better familiarity with our songs and stuff once we get to that part of the year. But yeah, most of the year was already planned out before that happened. So nothing's really changed on our end. But it's definitely a great accomplishment. We're very proud of it, and it's been great. So
it has. Does it put a pressure on you though for the first full length album? Where it raises expectations and everybody's going to think, well, okay, when the album comes out, there's going to be 3 #1s on it. Does it change anything in terms of how you are going to approach a first full length?
I think that the change is different. Just. Anyway, just because you're sort of starting from scratch. We weren't really starting from scratch when we went in to do this EP. We knew we had a couple diamonds in the rough, and we had been working very hard on material for a long time before we ever went into the studio. Now, the writing process is coming from sound check on the road. Let's see what we can muster up today in our 30 minutes of sound check. We'll try come up with some sort of idea that we can record, clone, and then dissect a little bit more once you get into the green room. But that's really the approach is a little we always sort of knew that topping the 5 songs that we put out was going to be a heavy challenge. So
right. So now the first ones obviously were probably written at home and so on and so forth. Is it different writing on the road, or does it add a sort of a live vibe to it? And does it enhance the process, or does it hurt the process?
It's just different. I think like inspiration sparks anywhere, really. We we had an idea from Soundcheck a few months ago that we thought was really cool. It was just a riff that John wrote. And then, like I was walking around New York City the other day, just listening to whatever, and an idea hit me right as I was getting out of the subway. And we sort of blended these two ideas that spawned, completely different time periods, and sort of put them together, and they worked really well together. So that's something we're working on. It's just different. I guess it doesn't, but that's sort of how When I'm Gone came about too. It's just sort of a riff that floated around, and then there was a melody that came into my head, and it worked perfectly. So, inspiration can really just strike anywhere. It doesn't matter if you're home. I oftentimes find like sitting down to write doesn't usually produce the best stuff. It just kind of has to come through you. And, when you're doing mundane things like walking around a city or taking a shower, oftentimes those are where the best melodies and riffs come from. So it's a very strange process, but, I don't think it's changed. There's just not a lot of time on the road to develop things, right? When I have time at home to write, and to work on things that I know I already like, that makes it easier to finish them. So
it does. Of course, you were the first unsigned band. What does that mean for being signed? Are labels sort of knocking at the door now? Are you getting people lining up, or where are we in terms of having a record deal? And does it even matter anymore?
No, I mean, we don't really want one. So I think we made that pretty clear. Unless somebody, makes you truly an offer you can't refuse, it's not really something I'm interested in. But I think I'm kind of insulated from those conversations. I think the manager, deals with those sort of things, and he's the one that gets those. So if anything, really serious comes through, obviously, I'm sure I'll hear about it. But, it's not something we're pursuing really at all. So we've got a great publishing company that, is very generous and takes care of, the deal is already made. So, we have obligations to them, and, it'd be nice to have some more tour support money and stuff like that. But, we're doing really well on the road. I mean, we're working very hard to make sure that we can sustain this financially, and, it's hard work, that's for sure. But, with the work we're putting in without a label, I think can have greater gains down the road, no pun intended.
It really can, and it's interesting to hear you say that, because if you and I were talking, in 1979, and I said, hey, is it important to get a record deal? You would have been like, F yeah, of course. It's the why do you think in this day and age it's not important? Do they just not offer? I mean, because obviously you've had the success without it, right? You're on this tour with Alter Bridge. You played Heavy Montreal. You've got a #1 single. Our record companies sort of been there, done that. We don't really. I mean, is that where we're at?
I just listened to a podcast with the Black Keys, right? They were talking to Joe Rogan about their situation before they were famous, and both the guys in that band are very talented producers, and they produce a lot of artists and bands, and they were like, man, we've had to deal with it from both sides, as artists and as producers, and as they started their own record label too. So they were just talking about the major labels are just kind of, they put so many cogs in the wheel, if you will, that it makes it really hard to get anything done. And, there's always an excuse for something. And the way our system works for Dirty Honey is there's not a lot of steps between, point A and point B. It's just, we want to do something, we check in with our manager or the booking agent, and that's pretty much it. There's not much, there's way fewer people to talk to and get approvals from or get money from. We control our business, which is great. And obviously we have full creative control too. So it's pretty much a dream scenario to be in as an artist. But, I think record labels could have some value. I just don't know what at this point they could do for us that hasn't already been done, Well,
and I'll share this from the podcast perspective. I had been with Podcast One and Westwood One, and they brought a brand recognizability to what I do. But at the end of the day, I had to do an hour a week, and it had to be on Mondays only, and it had to be a certain format, and a band like Dirty Honey probably wouldn't have been a guest that they would have allowed me to have, because they kept saying you have to have A-level guests, and it's like, well,
right.
And this to me is a lot more fun. I enjoy talking to you. I enjoy talking to a band like yours. I enjoy promoting a band like yours. If you gave me a nugget that I could run, I could literally get off the phone and throw it up on the podcast provider right now and not go, well, okay, I've got to wait 4 days till Monday to roll around. And the other thing is they would get all the ad revenue, and eventually they would give me an accounting, which meant I got paid every 6 months. Now I get paid every month. So
right.
It's sort of like, yeah, you're right. It's a lot nicer to be independent, as long as you have your infrastructure in place.
When it's going well, that's for sure. And like, we're still at the point now, right, where we go out and sell our merch after the show, and we take pictures and sign things for fans, and we have a great personal connection with our audience, and we know we're a young band that's not really, we haven't stood the test of time yet, right? So that's the work that goes into it. And we could easily have a merch company handling our merch, and then our t-shirts would go to hell, and the quality would go down. And I think just in terms of quality control, we can control what we put out. It's quality, everything, whether that's merch or it's music or it's music videos, and it can be exactly what the artist wants to express. And I think that's super important in today's music climate, because like authenticity is everything. And I think that's why people are responding to Dirty Honey more than, some other bands, I guess, because it's definitely authentic. So, our influences poke their head out in the music, and there's a ton of them, so it's definitely fresh, but it's coming from an authentic rock and roll place. We're not like a put together band or anything by like a record label.
Well, and you've got that connection with fans. Sometimes when you're in the machine, there's a great distance created between the fan base and the band, and when you're out there selling your own T-shirt, a fan can see that and go, hey, I get this guy. We're on the same team here. And anyway, I appreciate that. And I appreciate the fact that you're easy to reach and that you're easy to get an interview with. And it's nice rather than have to go through all the gatekeepers,
Yeah. And, I said that too. Like, I mean, when I was a little kid, I think I told you last time, I spoke to you that, I got to meet Steven and Joe Perry before my first concert ever. And for them to take the time with me, as a little kid outside of a radio station in little old Albany, New York, like that meant the world to me. I mean, that's why I'm doing this, so, it was that profound of an experience for me as a little kid. And, we meet tons of little kids along the way, and I hope, they're appreciative and, inspired by that, and, that's the ultimate goal, is to help inspire a generation to pick up guitars again. So
yeah, you're doing it well. And on that, I just want to say thank you and congratulations for the #1, and always a pleasure. And I will always support Dirty Honey, because I like what you're doing. I like the music, I like the style, but I like your approach. It is fan friendly, and I think somewhere in the last 15 years, last 20 years, we sort of got away from being fan-friendly and just became very corporate, and I like fan-friendly. So, merci.
Yeah, me too. And I tell you, how do you say no problem in French?
Pas de problème.
Oh, man, I'm going to need some work on that one. But, yeah, I appreciate the time, man. And, we will always come back to Montreal. We all said it. I spoke to Miles Kennedy and Marc about it as well, and it was we had such a great show there, and I don't know why, but we have a thing going on there, and we really like that city. So,
well, hey, Montreal's a rock and roll city, and one of the things is that we sort of have this European take on things, is that when we latch on to a band, we stay with you for the next 10, 20, 30, 40 years. I mean, ask Iron Maiden, ask the guys in Styx, ask, when we get you, and we stay with you.
Oh, yeah.
So,
You could tell. I mean, there was a buzz in the air. There was an anticipation 30 minutes before we were going to take the stage. And we're on at 7 o'clock on this tour. And it was very, very interesting. And the second we walked out there, man, we knew it was going to be a rockin' night, and the crowd was so into it. And we couldn't have been more grateful. And I certainly let them know that night, too. So thank you to Montreal for sure.
And thank you to Dirty Honey. And on that, folks, we will be right back.
Now back to Rock Talk with Mitch LaFon.
And there you go, folks. My quick update with Dirty Honey singer Marc Labelle. Their single, When I'm Gone, topping Billboard's mainstream rock charts. Congratulations to the boys. It's been a long way since Heavy Montreal. Well, okay, it's been 2 months, but bravo, as we say. And to my listeners, quick apology for the couple of audio dropouts there. I recorded the Marc interview and the upcoming Michael Monroe one on the same day, and, technology was not my friend that day. So anyway, Michael Monroe has a new album out on October 18th called One Man Gang. I've had a chance to hear it. It is punk pop rock, or it's melodic punk. Can we say that? No, listen, it's a great rock record. So do check out One Man Gang and sit through my interview with Michael Monroe here. And again, a couple of audio dropouts here and there, but overall, you can hear the entire interview, and it's great. Michael's always a pleasure to talk to. So here we go. Without further ado, here is the one, the only, a one-man gang, Michael Monroe. We are speaking with singer Michael Monroe. The new album is One Man Gang, out October 18th, 2019. As we say in Montreal, bonjour, Michael. How are you?
Bonjour. Comment allez-vous?
Très bien.
Good. How are you? I'm très bien. Yeah. Ça va bien. I'm doing well. Not bad. No complaints.
No complaints.
Every day healthy above ground. It's a good day.
Yeah, that is true. So let me start off with this, because I've been listening to the album, and now I know, folks, it's not out, but I've had a preview. A lot of great songs on there. Pitfalls of Being an Outsider, Low Life in High Places, the latest video, Last Train to Tokyo. Talk to me about getting these songs together and why it's important to still keep making music and not just go tour on the legacy.
Well, yeah. I always try to get better, improve upon what I do. And it's a great band I have, these great people I surrounded myself with, and I've done everything I can to make this a real band situation, which it is, and encourage everyone to write as much as possible. And there's a lot of creative energy in this group here, and a lot of talent, and I don't want to stifle it. I want to encourage it. And we still come up with great stuff, and we have a great time together with these guys. I would rather be the guy who makes records, some of the best work, and like I've been told, most people think these last 4 albums now, this one's the fourth one, with this band being some of the best work of my career, along with not Demolition 23 in the past. So I'd rather be the guy who makes good records still, all killers, no fillers, as opposed to someone who just plays some old songs from the 80s and just makes records as an excuse to go on tour and maybe play one song off the new album. And, I'd rather be in my own position with my integrity intact and improving on what I'm doing, and at least trying my best to get better. And it shows. And having a good time doing it. You can't fake that either. It comes across on a record or live, especially with these guys. We have the greatest time. So, what was the original question again?
Well, the original question was the importance of making new music. Because, you look at 2015, You did Blackout Stage, which was a great album. You had Horns and Halos before that, another great album, and now One Man Gang. So you're right. You're not living off of Death, Jail, and Rock and Roll or Hanoi
complacent.
Rock. Yeah, which is good.
No, certainly not. Yeah. No, I wouldn't be doing this if I wasn't creating something new and being excited about it. And yeah, that's the most rewarding thing, is coming up with something that turns out to be great. And yeah, the process of the album, that's what you were asking about too. The process, how we got these songs together. I mean, actually, we had so many songs. We had like so much to choose from. We decided to record 18 tracks in the studio, and then we had to narrow it down to, at one point it was like 14. I said, oh, I'm not going to let this one go. Not that one either. And then I just decided, no, come on, let's just make it a real. I like the old albums that were like 10 songs, maybe 11, 12 at the most. Last Blackout Stage had 13 songs. When it gets to like 15, 16, no matter how great the songs are, you need an ear break. And I like records that you'll want to listen to again after it's over. You just want to put it on again. And therefore we came down to the 12 tracks. That was my final suggestion to the guys. I said, how about this? And it was a perfect, as a whole, as an entirety. The best songs make the album, regardless of who wrote. And there was tons of songs of my own that I took off the album because I was like, wait a minute. Oh, Rich, there's one song with a great sax solo, for example, and that was mine that I took off because Rich had a better one. And therefore, as it turned out, there's not that much sax on this album. The saxophone is only, I think it's In the Tall Grass has a saxophone in the middle section and at the end, but it was unintentional. But there's some harp. There's more harp for that matter. But yeah, so the best songs make the album, as long as they're new songs and written by the band, whoever wrote it. It doesn't matter, regardless of who wrote the song. The best songs make the album, and we decided together. It's a democracy. This is really a band, and that's why the One Man Gang. The band has my name, but we're a bunch of guys. So I thought that was the perfect title for the record. So yeah,
it is.
Right. Thanks. And musical style also affected not only good songs, but the musical direction. I like that, where this was going. So.
Yeah, I like the musical direction too. Let me ask you about producing the album. You did it along with Rich Jones and Steve Conti. Sometimes when bands produce their own albums, there's a tendency to become sort of self-indulgent, and you need sort of those outside ears. You need the Mutt Langs and the Bob Ezrins. And talk to me about producing that, and sort of how do you avoid becoming self-indulgent and still being able to have a focus and say, aha, this is good. And, talk to me about producing it.
Yeah, well, we're very critical about that stuff, and we don't let things make things easy on ourselves just to get away with something that we're. One of the first rules is cliche free. It has to be cliche free. No cliches in lyrics, in singing or playing, guitar solos, anything that's been done before and it's kind of redundant. It's like, oh, I heard that before. Now you sound like this guy or that guy. Come on, let's reinvent ourselves. And we really, if it isn't ourselves, then it's somebody in the band always says, no. Yeah, it's like, that's corny, and so we're very critical. And we have a great sense of style, I must say, in terms of quality of as knowing what not to play as opposed to what to play. And just not to do something because you can, or try to impress people with our talent, how great players we are. I mean, I got two of the greatest guitar players in the world, and they play tasty. And for example, on the Sensory Overdrive, there's a song called, one of the songs we have is Trick of the Wrist, the first song of the album. There's a chorus. There's, I think, 3 choruses in the song, and one of the choruses in the middle has, as opposed to the Trick of the Wrist, it has a backing vocal, like a group of guys going, trick of the wrist, trick of the wrist. So we had that only on that one chorus because it was a cool addition at that point of the song. Most other bands would say, hey man, that's a hook. Let's put her in every chorus, of course, dude. And then that would be in every chorus, trick of the wrist. And that way you attract all the morons that like to drink beer and go, bang their head against the wall and get violent and at the best scenarios, throw shit at you on stage, whatever. But stuff like that we don't do because it's we have this great taste and sense of style to leave stuff like that out. It's a matter of choices, and sometimes. I mean, the Ramones were, thank God for them. They saved rock and roll. Having no guitar solos in the first 3 albums, and then the 4th album had a guitar solo. It's just one note. I want to be sedated. And playing one note with convincingly is way harder than playing a million notes a second. And so look how fast I can play with no head or tail to it, and no heart or brain, So we're very much into quality and having it remain authentic and for real. And we just don't let ourselves get away easy with anything. There's a great team in this band.
Yeah, it's a
The
great
sarcasm
team.
and the cynicism is, yeah.
Well, and just real quick, speaking of great teams, you mentioned Sensory Overdrive. You did Debauchery as Fine Art with Lemmy, the one and only Lemmy. And, of course, it was produced by Jack Douglas, who did the John Lennon stuff, the Miles Davis stuff, the Aerosmith stuff.
Yeah.
What an album that was, right? I mean, holy mackerel.
Yeah, I agree. It won the Classic Rock Album of the Year award in 2011. For a good reason, I think, too. It was great. It was like my coming back to my solo career with a record like that, and it's still one of my favorites. All these records have their own personality, but that was really a special one. And Jack Douglas was a great producer, had great stories of John Lennon and great Aerosmith stories and all. And the records he produced with Aerosmith are our favorites of Aerosmith. And there's a funny guy, but when it came to mixing, we still ended up using my guy in Finland, Petri Majuri, who now has mixed Horns and Halos and Blackout States, even though they had different producers too. But this time we decided to do it from scratch ourselves. We figured, the last album was produced by Chips Kisby, the Swedish guy from the band Sator, and it was great also. But we decided in the beginning that Petri Majuri is going to mix it anyway, so we had already had that. We had planned that, but this time we figured, why get a producer? Because we know how to. We can produce ourselves, and we've all produced records, and it didn't seem like we needed anyone to just be there and say, "Oh, that sounds good," and "that sounds bad," and we have that within the band already, so. Also saved a bunch of money, not having to pay, thousands of euros to some guy for being there to tell us what we already know, and unless it's somebody really significant that make a huge difference at this point in our career and our band's development. I think it was a smart decision. Also, in terms of recording, having Petri, the guy who's going to mix the album, also recorded from scratch from the beginning. At this great studio, was a residential studio too, so we could live there and really get into the music. That was also good and make things a bit easier. And recording this album during the time we didn't have management. Our deal with Universal was the last album that came out on that. On that deal was the best. The compilation album CD, Michael Monroe, the best. After that, the deal was up. So. And the guy who signed us at the time when he signed us, the head of the label was, of course, had already left the label. So our guy was gone, and that's what often happens. And there was no, obviously, didn't seem to be a reason to renew the deal. So we were without a label for a while and without a management also. Actually, the previous management was not really decent management, so to speak. I've always had bad luck with managers, but that changed. For the first time about a year ago when we started working with Seven Webster, it seems to me it's the first time we really have proper management now. And through that, we also got a great record label, Silver Lining, brilliant, and UTA, booking agents. So the record was already, we were finished with the album, was mastered and everything in the beginning of December 2018. We recorded it in the spring of 2018 and took a break for the summer for the festival gigs, and then went back in the studio in the fall and finalized it and then mixed it, and it was done already then. But we didn't have a team to work it, so I didn't want it to go to waste. I wanted to wait till we have a good team around the album. It's just so it'll give a proper shot,
Yeah.
to give it a proper chance to, get to people and not piss it away in a rush. And so that's why it took a while before we put it out.
And of course you need good media talking about it as well. But since we mentioned Lemmy, you had him as a guest on that one.
Debauchery as a Fine Art. It was a great time we had that. Yeah.
Now, on this one, you have Captain Sensible of the Damned, one of those great sort of classic bands. I don't know what's going on in the background there, but is there? Are you cutting something? Sounds like there's cutting.
No,
there.
it is actually, I was making a coffee.
Oh,
it's done.
Okay.
Oh, sorry. Excuse me.
I thought somebody was mowing or something.
Sorry about that.
But no. All right. But I got my coffee here too. Well, in fact, let's talk about the importance of coffee. No, I'm kidding. But Captain Sensible of the Damned, right? It's important. Yeah. It's important to talk about Captain Sensible and the Damned. Talk to me about having him on there on the album and really giving it that sort of, well, not that sort of, but adding to the punk feel that we have.
Yeah, I mean, he's a punk rock legend, and I'm fortunate enough to know him, and have the Damned have been friends of ours since the '80s, since the early '80s when we with Hanoi Rocks. So we ended up playing on. We got to meet them at quite an early point, and they're a London band, and also played some festivals and stuff together, and got to know them. And really one of the greatest bands of all time, totally underrated. Captain Sensible, in a lot of ways, people don't realize what a great guitar player he is, thinking that, all that stuff about his image and the way he was live. I was just like, when I first saw them at the Marquee with the London audience, and it was just incredible. I mean, he came on stage and just like, all right, yes, stinking positive shit. We had a new album called Strawberries for Pigs. We're the strawberries. You're the pigs. If you don't like it, fuck off. Oh, can I say that? Sorry if I...
Yeah, you can say that all
anyways,
you
the
want.
language... Good. So he was like, but wait a minute, I'm the idiot? You're the idiot. You paid to see me. It's like so incredible. I was just, that guy came out there, grabbed people by the throat, and Vanians. He was like the original goth, if anyone was. Him and Susie and the Banshees, Susie, them two are like the blueprint for a goth image, if you talk about a style. I mean, Vanian was so cool and stylish. I mean, he used to be a grave digger, right? That's why they found him, because they liked the way he looked. They said, yeah, you're a singer. So and it's such a great thing with this band. They evolved so much over the years. And what I like the most about the Damned in general was their own style. They had their own style. There's no way that they tried to like fit the punk kind of mold. Quite the opposite. They always did their own thing and were completely in their own style in every way. They were just and they evolved a huge amount over the years. They made some really great records, great songs, and kept reinventing themselves, and always great fun live, and really just one of the greatest bands ever. Thank God for them. And they deserve to be way more famous and more well known than they are. Because it's one of those things. One of my favorite bands. Most of them are like not as big as they should be. Because they're too cool to be big. The mainstream doesn't really appreciate that kind of quality always.
Yeah, well, in fact,
so it's sensible. Yeah,
I was just going to say, I was looking at a list of what you consider to be the sort of the 10 best songs, including Lord of the New Church, Open Your Eyes, Dead Boys Ain't It Fun, which is a fantastic song. So you're right. Some of these ones, but let me quickly get over to Steve Conte. I first got to hear him back in the early 90s with a band called Company of Wolves, which was a great band. Talk to me about having Steve in the band, because he really adds that extra something, right? I mean, it's intangible.
Yeah, he's an incredible player, first of all, and very talented songwriter as well. And he's a New York guy. We were on the same label, actually, without knowing each other back in the 80s and 90s. He had a Company of Wolves. He was signed to Polygram Records, and I think we even had the same A&R guy. I think it was Jim Lewis. But for some reason, I never really met him those days, and he just came. He was in the Dolls with Sammy Alpha, and we had a guitar player who bailed on me just 2 weeks before the first American dates, and which was not very nice. But then it was a blessing, because Steve was so much better. It was like, thank God Steve got in the band. We still got, because the Dolls were taking an indefinite break, I think, and Sammy just called Steve and I said, let's see if he's still available. And luckily he was free to do this, and he's like, we're all the best of friends, all of us in this band, and Steve, I have a very special relationship too. He's one of the greatest guys I've ever met, and really smart and such a great player. And he especially, it's like his solos are totally in their own league. He always reinvents himself. He never repeats himself. Never does any cliches, and he's always special, an expert on puns and stuff like that. We always have such a great time. It's great fun with him. It's a really fun guy,
great.
Like he would say. Yeah.
Yeah, and I actually bought the Company of Wolves albums.
Fun guy, Fungus.
Yeah, I own those albums. I bought them back then.
You do?
I do.
Great.
I bought them.
Great.
Good stuff.
All right. Well, he had on his solo stuff too. And I played on his solo record, and he's a good writer, really. And yeah, I'm really glad and blessed to have him in the band. And him and Rich together, two of the best guitar players I could hope for right now. I mean, in a band, and very band-oriented kind of guy, and a lot of fun. It's a really cool character.
He
And
is
by
now.
the way, the Captain Sensible thing happened. Captain Sensible got the solo thing. I was like, the song sounded a bit like The Damned, and I thought, I'll give it a shot. I called Captain and says, would you like to play a solo on the song? He said, all right, send it over. And I emailed him the song, and I got an answer. I said, yeah, I love the song. We'll have something for you in a couple of days. The next day, he has sent it in my email. It was a solo, and it was perfect as it was. So I was, hey, guys, guess who's playing the solo on the one of my gang? I said, what? Was Steve? Rich? No, Captain Sensible. No way. All right, yeah. So that was such a great kick. But anyways, yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. You were going to ask about After Steve?
Well, I was going to ask about After Steve because you did mention you have a new booking agent, and you did mention touring. Recently, you were quoted as saying that coming to the U.S. and or North America is just not worth it. Was that a proper quote? Because in a sense, it's worth it, but there is some difficulties to it in the sense that just to get 5 guys over here, you're $20,000 in the hole before you even actually play a gig.
Exactly. Thank you. That's the problem is you don't make enough to make it worthwhile, and you don't get to enough people if you're just doing playing. Talking about Midwest and the majority of the country. It's such a big place. Someone may get it wrong. I'm not saying it's not worth it. Oh, it's always worth doing something. But going to America, touring, trying to make it, if you want to get people to notice you, there's no way of doing. That's no way to do it. If you're going to play for a couple of hundred people around the country, and some small clubs, and you're just like losing money and not making enough to make it worthwhile, and then you're beating your head against the wall because no one's going to notice. You could do that for 10, 20 years, and you get nowhere. If you really want to get noticed, you should get on a big tour with a major, stadium-sized band and tour there for a couple of years, and then you'll get noticed. But this position that I'm in, unfortunately, haven't gotten on any bigger tours than what we've done. Is we played there as much as we could. We sitting on a tour bus month after month, and then doing LA and New York and doing Boston and Philadelphia, and it's just great cities. East Coast, West Coast, but then the Midwest and so much of the area is like there's just no point, and it's just a waste.
Well, it's difficult.
Money and that. Even big bands there are having problems because there's no rock and roll is not sailing that well anymore. It's not in fashion and whatever. The hip hop and country scene seems to be like the big thing there, and even big names there have to make package tours and to make a touring worthwhile. So at the moment it seems that as things are right now, but I would love to play in America more because I love the audiences there. Really, rock and roll is really truly a part of the culture there. So therefore, we're perfect for America.
Having a little bit of a difficulty with the audio, but I will remind the folks that One Man Gang is out October 18th. Michael, I could go on, but we're having some technical issues, and I'm hearing every second word. But
all right,
as we say, thank you.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much, and I just want people to know about the American that I really would love to play there. The audiences in America really love this kind of rock and roll that we play. The two guitars, and the rock and roll is a big part of the culture there. And therefore, it's a shame that the situation is such as it is. But if there's any change or any possibility, I'll be there in a second to
see what the change
play as much as possible.
You're going to have to make a modern country record, and then you'll come play the big places.
Well, yeah, and exactly. Then that ain't going to happen. Sorry, pal.
Right, that's not going to happen. But always a pleasure. Always a pleasure.
Thank you. Same here.
We've done interviews for all these albums for all the way back to 2011 and before, and it's always a pleasure.
Yeah, mind you. Thank you. Same here. And mind you, Lucinda Williams, a country legend, singing on Sensory Overdrive on the song Gone Baby Gone. So
that's right.
Not too far from country.
See? Gone Baby Gone. That's right. Written by Ginger as well. Co-written with Ginger of the Wild Hearts.
Co-written with Ginger. Me, not only Ginger.
Not only
Ginger.
Ginger.
Though he would like to say probably, Lucinda singing on my song. But he wrote that together. She's fantastic. But yeah, it's really great talking to you again, and let's talk again soon. All the best to everybody in America. God bless you all, and take care.
You're listening to Rock Talk with Mitch LaFon. Rock Talk.